All right, guys, welcome back to the BNB Professional. This is Kevin Bryant Ramirez, your host, and we're back with another one, baby. Another good episode. We're talking about how to deal with difficult property owners, and specifically, I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to deal with these difficult property owners. All right, difficult property owners. You as a co-host or a property manager, you're going to have to deal with different personalities, right? We're dealing with human beings here. And, there's not only from the guest side and dealing with the guest, but you also have to learn to kind of ride the waves or whatever, be good with dealing with property owners and those relationships, building those relationships, and picking the relationships, really, right? Because as we'll talk about in a bit, you can really design your business. You can design who you want to work with, right? And what type of people that you want to work with and what type of people you want to attract. We'll talk a little bit about that, but first I want to tell you a quick story on a difficult owner that I had. All right, and this was a guy that we met last year, and we managed his property for about 3 months. Okay, and when I first met him, man, he seemed pretty cool. He was very soft-spoken person. He had a lot of questions, and it was good questions. He had really done his research on how to do Airbnb, and he asked me tons of questions that, were kind of making him uneasy on the Airbnb side. Now, I didn't think of it much of it when he pulled out his notebook and asked me, 21 questions. But, we felt like it was a good thing. It was a good vibe, right? So we ended up signing his listing, right? We ended up signing an agreement. All right. He came through a referral through another owner that we had before him, and that owner recommended this person, right? So, we felt kind of comfortable because we're like, okay, well, if they know each other and they're acquaintances, then we should be okay. Now, the next day, literally, all right, like instantly after we signed our agreement, this guy would not stop texting me, calling me, asking me every single question in the book. And, when you first start out with a property manager, you kind of expect that because that is pretty normal especially for somebody who's never done Airbnb, a property manager that's never done Airbnb, then it's pretty normal to ask questions, right? Especially if they don't know you. I don't know who Kevin Bryant Ramirez is, right? I just met this fucking guy and now I'm handing over my property to do Airbnb, something that I've never done. So it's pretty nerve-wracking, I would think, in their part, right? Handing over that property, and they have money invested in it. They have an attachment to that property. So especially when I've never done Airbnb, it's pretty difficult on their part and on their mind, and on their thoughts and their emotions, because it's a lot weighing on them, right? So I expect a lot of questions in the beginning, and I'm very patient, especially when I have a brand new Airbnb property owner. So he had all those questions, and he had more than all those questions. Okay, so it was just really, really, really over the top, and I thought it was normal at first, and then we went live, and he had access as a co-host in our Airbnb profile because he wanted to see the calendar and he wanted to see the messages. And we usually do that with our other owners, so it was okay. But the difference was that this guy was messaging me and calling me after every single message, literally every single message that we would send, every single booking that we had. All right. He was asking me questions like, why did you answer it that way? Why did you tell him this? Why did you tell him that? Why did you book this one? Why did you accept this one? And yada, yada, and on and on and on and on. All right. This went on for about a month and a half, and I was this close to really just getting rid of him, right? Like, I was going to go have this conversation and say, hey, this is not working out. Let's cut it out. Let's just cut it off right now. Let's go our separate ways. All right. But I had, and what kind of put me over the top is that he was, not only was he asking all those questions and all that stuff, which normally, I'm a very patient guy. I'm a Buddhist, man. Like, I don't have any hard feelings against anybody in the world or anything in the world. And that's what I practice as a person, as a Buddhist. And, but it was very, very difficult with this person, right? But, what really took me over the top was that he was actually so involved in the process that he was supervising our third-party cleaning crew, right? This is not even my company. This is somebody that I hired that helps me to clean the properties. And somebody that I really, really, really adore, right? I really, really appreciate because they help me so much. And when this person, right, this property owner was in there and having conversations with them and being rude as well, right? Because, he wanted for them to clean the way he wanted to do it. Even though this is professional cleaning crew, 100-something units, they know what the fuck they're doing. This person did not know what the fuck they were doing. This property owner, and he wanted to boss these people around. I'm like, no, like, that's not going to happen. Right. And it got to the point that he even got really, really rude with one of the ladies. And I, had to apologize. Like, wow, I'm so sorry for his actions. I did not know that he was going to do that. And I did not tell him to go in there. Right. So that kind of took me over the top, and I was so close to getting rid of him. Like, I literally was driving to his property. Like, I woke up in the morning, early in the morning. I said, the first thing I'm going to do is going to go and fire this guy, right? And I literally woke up that morning. I'm like, okay, I had my mind set. All right, I said bye to my wife. I said, I love you. Wish me luck. I'm going to go tell this guy to fuck off. As I'm driving over there, I changed my mind. And I was like, you know what? Like, everybody deserves a second chance. This was the fucking Buddhist in me, right? Everybody deserves a fucking second chance. Let me just, deal with it, right? Let's see if he gets better. Let me explain to him why we're feeling uneasy. So, we talked about it. We talked about the cleaner situation. We talked about his messaging and all this stuff. Blah, 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 blah. We talked about an hour and a half. Gave him a second chance. And he got a little tiny bit better, but nothing really fucking changed, right? And it lasted another month and a half of basically hell. And that other half, right? The other half of dealing with him out of those 3 months, right? That last month and a half, me and my wife really, really wanted to, we were thinking about getting rid of him, but we stayed in so long, which 3 months is a long fucking time for me. We stayed in so long because of the money. And whenever it's money involved, it's usually a bad decision, right? We kept them because we said if we lose him, then we're going to lose the income, and we need the income. We only had 3 listings at the time, so it was a pretty significant amount of money that we were making at the time for our business. So we didn't want to get rid of him. We're like, man, let's try to work it out, right? Because we don't have another listing. And 3 months pass, and he calls me, and he fires me. All right, after I busted my ass for this guy. Okay, I did everything above and beyond that I could to make this thing work out. I made him a good amount of money. All right, because I did the books. I saw it. I saw the reports that we were sending him. I saw the checks that we were sending him. We made him money, and he was still not happy. Okay, so he fired me. First time I ever got fired as a property manager. Yeah. And I was so happy, so fucking relieved. Me and my wife were jumping with joy. We were a little bit nervous because, like, fuck, now what do we do? Right? But we were like, oh, man, like, we can breathe now. We don't have to deal with this fucking guy anymore. And, yeah. You know, after that, 2 weeks later, we get not one, not two, but 3 listings. All right, one door closes, many more open. We got 3 listings right in one shot from one guy that had a quadplex. And then a month after that, we got another listing in a condo in a building. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. When you have that bad juju in your business, that bad mojo, that bad energy coming in, it just affects every single thing. It's like a toxic parasite that affects every single little piece of your life and your business. And you do not want to be in that situation. Okay? Don't ever think that you need to stay in that situation to salvage your business for any reason. Have faith that it's gonna be okay on the other side. All right, so for those of you who are in that situation, like, you know, that's my advice, man. Have faith that you can get more listings, that you can build a bigger business, that you don't need that property owner, and you're not gonna miss that money, man. You know, you're gonna sleep a lot better if you get rid of that person. Now, let me give you the quick 3 tips that I would give you to deal with a difficult property owner. Number 1, you have to set boundaries up front. With this guy, I tried to set boundaries, but I didn't set them as hard as I should have. Okay, even though even with my boundaries, I think this guy was just a special situation. Like, I don't think it was going to work out anyways. But with a difficult owner, especially with a difficult owner, you have to set boundaries up front. And I would deal with every single owner have boundaries, okay? And by what I mean by that is, number 1, your agreement is most important. So make sure that you have a really good agreement that explains exactly how you work, right? Everything from A to Z, like, hey, you know, we're going to be booking it, we're going to be dealing with the guests, we're going to do this and this and that. If there's any damages, right? How does the insurance work? Is there going to be pets? How many guests can we allow? All that stuff. Like, that's all in an agreement, okay? I don't have any agreements to give you guys right now. I might in the future, but, you know, just look up I really just Googled an agreement, and I picked the one that was pretty, you know, simple, but still, you know, thorough, right? So an agreement is the first thing I would say, and you have to explain to them clearly up front what you do, right? When you first initially have that conversation, that's when the 5 areas of BNB management come in. Like, that's the easiest way to explain. I just say, hey, look, I do from A to Z, right? I do property setup, I do listing, I do pricing, I do guest communications, and then I do also vendor relationships, right? I deal with the vendors and coordinating the vendors as well. You know, everything from property setup, I'll advise you on how many linens, all that stuff. Listing, we're gonna get a photographer here and blah blah blah. So I really explain everything that you do, and you know, if you can have a framework like that you can explain it really easy so they can understand, that is a good boundary to set, right? Like, so you can set expectations with this person. All right. I would also not budge on those fundamentals, right? On those 5 areas of BNB management. Most difficult owners are going to ask you, for you to, budge on certain things. Like, well, can you do this? Number one is the percentage, right? Like, 20%. Whoa, can you do 15? Right? Don't fucking do it. That's a red flag when somebody's trying to, want to be cheap with me or ask me for a fucking discount. Like, dude, 20% is already a fucking discount. All right. So especially the amount of work that I'm going to do and the amount of money that I'm going to make you. All right. And don't budget with any of the fundamentals. Like, hey, can we use our one mistake that I made with this owner is like, hey, he said he was a photographer. And so he took his own pictures, and I said, okay, cool. Like, that's the first time an owner has told me that. So I said, okay, cool. I didn't know you were a photographer. And, I even saw some of his work. It's pretty good, but then it wasn't property photos, right? It wasn't what we fucking needed. So when we got his photos, they were crap. I mean, they were nice. They were nice. He had a nice camera and all that stuff. He even edited them, but he edited to them how he liked it, right? It was like his artistic view, and I'm like, I don't need your fucking artistic view. I need fucking pictures that pop, that stand out on Airbnb on the app. If not, we're not gonna get fucking booked, right? Anyways, yeah, and that's an example of me. I budged on the fundamentals. I should have said, no, we have our photographer. Shout out to JP. What's up, dog? JPLA at on Instagram. I'll make sure to put a link on the description. If you guys are in Miami in the Broward area, JPLA Creative is his Instagram. Great photographer. But yeah, I shouldn't have budged. I should have said, no, we're going to use a photographer because we have our systems down already. Remember, you are the fucking expert in this thing. And that brings me to the next thing. Like, you're the expert in this, right? You set the standard, all right? This is your brand, your face out there, right? So you have to be able to set a standard for your brand, right? You have to think of yourself as a hospitality brand. And, I'll probably do an episode specifically on, how to create a hospitality brand for yourself. But you have to think about that yourself. You have to think of yourself that way, right? And your business that way, that you're a hospitality brand. Think of yourself like the fucking Marriott, bro. I'm the Marriott. I'm the Hilton. I'm the one who's going to come in here and set the standard, and get the reviews for you. I'm the one who's going to be dealing with the guests, the exceptional customer service. I'm the one who's going to be all that, right? And in order to set that standard, I can't budge on the fundamentals for you, especially when you start getting multiple owners, right? And you get a bunch of owners. Every single owner is going to want something different. And if you start budging on these fundamentals, now it's going to make you a fucking living hell. Like, your business is going to be a living hell. Because every single property, you have to do something different. There's got to be some type of standardization throughout your whole listing, right? So set yourself a brand. Don't budge on the fundamentals. Like, think of yourself as a brand and set your standards. And don't budge on those standards, right? It's your reviews on this Airbnb account. It's your reviews, all right? Yes, you're paying money, right? You're paying out this owner, and but you're making that money for him, right? But even though they're the ones who are providing that property, it's your fucking reviews. And if you get bad reviews, that's your livelihood. That's your business going down the drain. All right. So you can't budge on that stuff. All right. Is my point. So that's number one. All right. Set your fucking boundaries. All right. Up front. Let them know how you work. And number two, don't allow them to solve issues. Use them only as a last resort. All right. Because, a lot of the property owners, they either live close by or, they probably sometimes live at the property, right? They live right next door, or they, you know, have a guest house or something. And these owners, sometimes they'll just solve their own issues, right? Like, hey, I'll go and cut the lawn back there, or I'll, you know, make sure that I change the air filter or whatever, right? Whatever needs to get done. But if you allow it, which this was a situation with this person, right? He lived right next door. If you start allowing that, then it starts to mess up with your standards, right? It starts to mess up with your shit, right? With your business. Especially if they don't know how to deal with guests, right? If they don't know how to deal with guests, they don't know how to deal with situations that occur in the day-to-day operations of an Airbnb, right? So, number one, like, property fixes is a big thing, right? Property fixes, like when they have to fix something, if you have a difficult owner, don't allow them to do it. You take a responsibility for that and put your team in there. Get your handyman and make sure that that job gets done correctly, because a lot of these difficult owners, they're going to be like, nah, I'm just going to cut corners. I'm going to do this and that. And they're just going to mess it up, right? And then you get a bad review because the guest is mad because, you know, they didn't fix the toilet the right way or whatever, right? Replacing items, right? Sometimes they'll take forever. Hey, man, like, you know, the chair broke, so we need a new chair. And if this guy takes weeks and weeks and weeks to fucking get the chair, now you have weeks and weeks and weeks of bad reviews. So you take responsibility. Say, hey, I'm going to order the chair. I'm going to make sure it's there. I'm going to fucking put it together, and I'm going to put it in the fucking unit. And I'm going to put it in the next day or two, right? I'm not going to wait. All right. Because you know the importance of that. All right. And like I said, especially with guests, do not allow them to deal with the guest whatsoever. If you have a difficult owner, please do not let them interact with the guests. I had that situation, right? This guy was rude. And he wasn't a people person. He did not know how to deal with fucking people. And especially you're in a customer service business, you're in a hospitality business, and then you send that owner over to take them towels or some shit, and then he says something that it's just fucking inappropriate, right? And then the guest calls you and is like, I don't know who that guy was, but, you know, he dropped off his things, but he said some shit there, and I'm like, that's not a situation that you want to be in. So any you know, issues with the guest, just take care of it yourself, man, or have your team. Make sure you have that infrastructure, somebody nearby that can help you, you know, take a towel or, you know, toilet paper, whatever the fuck they need, any issues that needs to get solved. And definitely, last but not least, like when we're talking about issues and them solving issues, don't let them price your property at all. All right. A lot of these owners, you know, they're looking for money, obviously, and all that stuff. That's understandable. But if you start letting them, you know, price and set the price and say, hey, like, Kev, you know, put it at this price, put it at that price, then your occupancy rate is going to go down the drain. You are the fucking expert. You need to, as a professional, as a BNB professional, make sure that you are very good at pricing. And yes, pricing can be a little bit difficult. Okay, it can be a learning curve, but that is your prerogative. That is your task, right? That's what you need to learn to be an expert at. You are the expert. You are the BNB professional. So don't allow a rookie, right, or somebody who doesn't know how to do it, to price. Okay, because that is literally your livelihood. That is literally your fucking paycheck. All right. So that's number 2. Number 3, if all else fails, man, get rid of them. Just get rid of them. All right. Just tell them to fuck off. All right. Because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Like we talked about, you can design your business, man. This is a lifestyle business, Airbnb. It can be a beautiful thing. Me and my wife are enjoying our life. You know, we get to work from home. We get to work together. We cook for each other. We go to the park together. We, you know, we work outside of the home when we want to. We go to Starbucks. We go to, we meet very, very interesting people that want to work with us, and it's an amazing lifestyle business. But if you allow a difficult owner to take over your business and become a toxic waste and toxic parasite in your business, then it can be very, very frustrating, right? And a difficult situation. So don't allow them to do that. You set your boundaries. You can pick and choose who you want to work for. So that is my last tip for dealing with a difficult property owner. Just to recap real quick, set your boundaries up front. All right. Make sure you have a great agreement. Explain clearly what you do up front. Don't bunge on the fundamentals. All right. The 5 areas of BNB management. You set the standard. Make sure you're setting that standard. This is your brand. This is your hospitality brand. So set that standard and make sure that you don't budge on those standards. It's your reviews on the line, not theirs. So make sure that you're setting those boundaries. Number 2, don't allow them to solve any issues. Only use them as a last resort. Don't let them do any property fixes or replace items or deal with a fucking guest at all. All right. And definitely don't allow them to do any pricing. And 3, if all else fails, get rid of them. All right. It's not worth sticking around. And, it's just not worth dealing with it, man. No matter how big the fucking paycheck is, man, just get rid of it. Definitely. I have faith that you can get the next one. And if you need help getting your next listing, then hit me up. All right. Visit bnbsidehustle.com. I'm writing an ebook. All right. I'm writing an ebook on how to get your next listing, everything marketing on building your BNB side hustle, your co-hosting company, your property management company. It's a very, very important skill to have, to learn how to get that next listing consistently over and over again, so your company keeps growing. And I'm writing an ebook about it, everything that we do to keep growing, month after month after month. So go to bnbsidehustle.com if you are interested in that. And yeah, man, that is it for this episode. I hope you liked it. Don't let those difficult owners get to you, man. Those property owners, right? So, again, I love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a review. I want to see more and more reviews from you guys. I want to see what you guys are thinking about these episodes. And make sure to share it, like it, share it with your friends, whatever you want to do. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.